let's get into the CIO role, because there's a really critical decision the CIO has to make that could make that 70 million, 700,000. And so let's just kind of hit the nail on the head. The mega lift is that the data in each of those EHR systems is its own data model with its own circumstance and implementation plan and all the rest. So we've got, and I've heard you talk about this before, we don't really have interoperability. We've got a bunch of siloed databases that exist, happen to have different brand names in their EHRs. Now, Meaningful Use 3, the one that has to be turned on by 1/1/19, and that CMS Administrator Varma said she's not moving the date. That means each vendor, to remain certified, has to map their data models to a minimum common data set that has a data query capability. What that means is that heavy lift is now, now we happen to have chosen more than half the vendors who certified today have voluntarily chosen the FHIR API mapped to the Argonaut project. And that was a quick cursory look at the 130 or so applications that are certified for the API requirement in meaningful use. So over half the market voluntarily is mapping to a common industry standard. What that means, if I'm CIO and I have an accountable care network with what you said, 100 EHRs, and I had every one of those EHRs API endpoints, all I have to do is subscribe to each of those endpoints, aggregate those feeds, put them in a common data warehouse, likely in the cloud, and then expose them through some API management platform. And if that happens, the cost of data acquisition, normalization, exposure, security management, and the like will look more like the Internet Economics, that is to say lower cost, higher liquidity, and that's the new information. It's the fact that each vendor had to do the heavy lift at every provider site to map the data to meet the consumer API requirement. That's why we're in a better place today.